think for me, it's really important for me, and from some of the feedback that I get a lot about, is to be seen. That the facilitator needs to be actually seen. So things like discussion boards, to be there with them, be there with them. So if they're putting some discussions on there, or posing questions, um, sharing an article on something that they've read, be there, respond, um, comment, encourage, ask more questions, sort of probe a little further. And oftentimes when you sort of ask the question, oh, and what do you think about that? Or how about this? Uh, Sometimes I think maybe students are compelled, ooh, the facilitator is asking me a question, maybe I should respond. And that's great, because now we've got some interaction going. Some of the other things that I do is, I right from the very beginning, particularly in the communications foundations course, what I really try and do, or what I do, is I do a video every single solitary week. I'm there. I post it in the announcements section. I use video notes to do that, and I talk about uh, the lay of the land. If it's been an unusually, kind of newsy week, where there's been a lot of kind of really down, news going on in the world, and to be there to say, hey, you know what, it's been tough. Or if it's midterm, we know that midterm's a crazy time of year, very, very busy term, or time in the semester, and say, hey, I know you've got it. It's busy. I'm there with you. I'm there to help you to succeed, and so on. The other thing that I do, and it's coming back to me in spades actually, is that I ask them, I challenge them, and I encourage them to risk. I say, this is the time that you can risk. It's a relatively safe environment. Get out of your comfort zone. Stretch yourself, grow, just plop it down there. Don't worry about how you're responding to the discussion post. Just put it in there, and really, really try and um, get uncomfortable. This is how to do it. You make mistakes, okay, not a problem, not a problem. You're here to learn, so you're going to be making mistakes, and that's okay, because we're all in this together, and we're here to help one another. The other thing that I'd really try and do too is I give feedback, 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 feedback. I give so much feedback. Um, I give a lot of feedback, and I really try, and I'm not serving them well unless it's balanced. So I give feedback, certainly, where those things and areas and answers that they can improve on, and why. And I also say, and look what you've done, that is absolutely great. And I can see how you're progressing. I can see how you're getting better. And I really, really try and do that too. The second thing about all of that is engaging. So it's not only about you as the facilitator, which is number one, but number two, to be able to engage by the content. I think we've all, not at Durham College, but I'm sure that we've, been in online environments where it's a lot of writing. There may be the odd video. There's questions, there's quizzes, and so on, and that's it. And how I think the course is absolutely the course content is structured is really, really important. That to get it as interactive as we absolutely can. So there's interactive, there's quizzes, fun quizzes, not necessarily just for marks. There's opportunities to build through different technologies. Fill in the blanks, and matching stuff, pretty basic and pretty traditional stuff, but it works. I mean, there's something that they can do. It's something that they need to actually have some activity to, that they have to sort of use their skills in being able to match, and that certainly reinforces the message and the content that you're trying to get across to students. And I find it really, really works well. Certainly the videos, as long as they're short, and they're to the point, and they're very targeted to the learning outcome that you want. And practice activities. Oh my gosh, practice activities, I think, is really good to um, encourage, making sure that they're, for me, it's really, really important. And I likely will go on and on about this. It's really, really important that activities, content, and so on, that you as a facilitator are the conduit between education and the workplace. Um, so I think that's really, really important to build on and make sure that it's a very conscious effort on your part to say, you know what, we're learning this today, but this is how it gets applied out there in the real world. Building an online community is, I think it's, be it synchronous or asynchronous. I think it is a challenge. It's a fun challenge to have, and it's a challenge nonetheless. So I- it's, I, frankly, it's been through trial and error, and I've learned a lot. Do you know what the biggest surprise for me was? Um, was only, I would say, only recently, within the last couple of years, have I used the video note. I know I probably should have been there way before now, but I have gotten very, very comfortable with that. And it is amazing the feedback that students have shared, not just because it's me, but because it is now being seen, that they see who it is that may be responding to them online, that you now are a personality, you're a face, you are a part of their journey now. It just lends to their learning journey. It just lends itself to another layer and dimension, and ratchets it up that whole online blank. Really, it's a blank learning experience in some ways, where you don't have that human connection where you would in class, and in synchronous learning. So those video notes are really, really important. As I've said, it's where you can connect with students. You are I structure them as if it's just a conversation. Hi, how are you doing? Just popping in, checking in. How are you doing today? Hoping all is well. If not, please, just message me, email, post your questions on online in the water cooler and so on, and just ask. It's a time for me to say, oh, remember that there's an assignment, and here's some tips. Here's some really good tips for you to watch out for. I really try and get them to look at the rubric, and I use that as a checklist and encourage them to do that. So really giving out some tips and tricks in terms of trying to get that assignment in, reminder of dates and when things are due. The other thing that I really try and do is respond as quickly as I can. I know that a lot of us are really busy. We've got big, lots of courses going on and lots of students to to um, to help and serve. Really, I really do really try very, very hard to respond same day. I try to get the marks in as soon as possible. I kind of put myself in their shoes a lot, that if I'm an online person, or in class for that matter, but if I'm online and asynchronous, can I see who I am, who my instructor is? Because we're kind of their significant other in the whole course outline, I guess, right? I mean, a lot sort of depends on us in terms of how we are that conduit of their learning, and helping their learning experience grow and be a positive one. I think that's really important. So again, being there, being responsive, being able to provide that feedback. I think discussion posts and this discussion board, that's always been kind of a, I wouldn't say controversial, but it's always a question, isn't it? It's a question around um, how do we make it more interactive? How do we get students to participate? Often it's easy for, and particularly in asynchronous, to sort of back off and kind of sit and watch the discussion boards go by and not participate. Well, I have to say, rightly or wrongly, the best way that I have been able to get those discussion boards moving is to make it part of their marks. I know, I do. It's a smaller part of their mark, but it's a mark nonetheless. There is a, a minimum number of responses that they need to participate in. There's a minimum number of words. It's not a great post, Sally. It's not about that as well. And the funny thing is that yes, they are obligated to participate in that. But some of the feedback that I get is that, that was a really rich experience for them, that you could see it. You could see it in their responses to one another, that it became richer, fuller, supportive, more encouraging, um, thoughtful, insightful. Even the way I think it's important the way those discussion posts um, are framed, that that you can get a topic that lends itself to different perspectives, that they can show what they think about different things, and get that discussion going. And oftentimes, there's some competing and differing perspectives and thoughts around different topics, and it's amazing to see that growth in them. The other thing that I try and do too is in these video notes, particularly in that sort of face to face, and sort of the one I've learned is to long time ago, I learned as a manager to praise in public. And I really do praise students in public, usually in a collective way. So I really, in the video notes, I will praise them, that I will note if I genuinely see that there is a progression in their writing ability, if I see that there is more and more communication and thought sharing in the discussion posts, I will comment that I'm really encouraged and inspired by how much I see their participation in the water cooler, that they're asking questions of each other, and that they are responding as peers to the questions that are being asked of their colleagues, of their peers, of their fellow students. So I really do try and I really do try and do that. So these are my lessons learned. I mean, I am evolving. I keep growing myself, and keep trying new things that I hope will work. And some things aren't working. Well, maybe I might nix that. But I really, really do try and do that. And lastly, I think what's really important to building that community is being empathetic, to really understand that it's not easy to juggle home, kids, work, sometimes balancing two jobs, five courses. They bite off a lot, that they are comes from all walks and all different areas that are really, really challenging. And I think it's important to say, hey, you know what, I see you. I just see you. So and I'm here to help you be successful. So I think that's what I'm trying. That's what I'm trying so far, and there's always room for improvement. Asynchronous learning being online, it can be frankly, it can be quite easy to, well, I say easy. You can create a program, a course with each module. You can throw up a lot of information, um, and so on. I think the challenge is that, assuming that it's online, there's an assumption there that the technology is, oh, well, that kind of goes without saying, and that that's, of course, it's going to be technically savvy and all of this, and so on. The truth of the matter is that there are a lot of things that certainly I continually learn. I'm like a sponge. I'm trying to learn all sorts of new technologies that I can use in this asynchronous learning environment. And thing as I keep saying, the video note was one, and I won't go into all of that again, but I mean, my goodness, it is a wonderful, wonderful tool. It's so easy to use. Takes a little getting used to sort of being online if or being videoed and recorded. Certainly, lots of the students are the same way when they have to do their individual presentations that they send in to me through video. So again, I'm trying to model that for them too. I might be calling it the wrong thing, but the intelligence agent, where I really love this, and I've heard some great feedback too around. You can send out, email blasts to all of your class, or maybe a day or two before the assignment is due, to say, oh, just a little reminder that assignment such and such is due by such and such a time. And, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me. So getting to learn that kind of technology and to use that has been really awesome for me. Again, keeping the content relevant and interactive is really important. And there's lots of technology stuff. It's so exciting. There's so many things that you can use. There's a Flipgrid, so they can use, and that's kind of fun. We kind of all know about there's Padlet, and I'm very new to Powtoon. Oh my goodness, I've discovered Powtoon, and sort of throw some of that in. Even in my introduction. My introduction is a Powtoon kind of as a meet your instructor. Well, I've used that as use Powtoon as part of my instructor introduction. Um, I've been encouraging, and I need to do this even more, but I would really love to encourage students to, when they are asked to, introduce themselves right at the very beginning of the course, even if several days before it starts, or, within that first week or so, is to, introduce yourselves. Here's some questions to answer. I really want to encourage them to submit their um, introductions by video, or if they just want to do it in audio, well, that's great. I really love the idea of video, because again, there's that connection piece, that visual sort of to be seen of each other as well. So I'm really going to try and promote that a little bit more. Another idea, again, from a technology point of view, is to I haven't done it, but I want to do it. Is to I got this idea. So I'm not. It's not my idea. I'm stealing this idea from another instructor, where you have a map and you get them to anonymously sort of point out. It's like a pin. How the map pin where students are, and so where they hail from, and then sort of make a conglomerate of that, and then post that out to say, oh, look where we're all from. So technology, and it's ever growing. I mean, there's H5P, I think I've got that right. Certainly using of quizzes, like interactive quizzes and so on. I really think that technology is something that is can really be applied even more so to an asynchronous environment. And not just because it's online to assume that there's lots of technology used, because sometimes it's not. So that's what I'm trying to do. What advice might I have for other professors and other facilitators? You know, I, I can only share what I have learned over the years, and would just share this. If it's advice or recommendation, I don't know, but I'll just share certainly what I've learned. What I have learned, particularly in the online asynchronous environment, is trying to be creative and intentional. It's a favorite word of mine, being intentional on creating creating a sense of community by lots of the things that we've been talking about today, um, and being as visible as you can. I I really believe that as well. I I really believe that it is the onus is on us as facilitators, as professors, to really be that conduit, to be that bridge between the students' education and how that's going to apply and serve them in their work community. And it's really trying to make that balance happen. And to create content that is going to be very applicable, to encourage that, to point it out. Sometimes students really are not aware of the simplest things that we are sharing with them in terms of content, and how that really applies to their work life, their personal life, and their community life. And I really think we're serving them even better if we can be very intentional about striking that balance in communicating our message. I do I do ask them for a lot of feedback. I I really, really want their feedback. I want to be better. I want to get better. I want to know the things that are working for them. So what is going well? And I ask that for the right from the very beginning. And I would say I'm very gently persistent, I think, on that. I really get after them, and I've been, uh, rewarded tenfold with that. And they've, things that I can certainly do better, and things that I'm doing well, so I can do even more of that for them. It's really all about them. I think it is important. I think it is important for me to share my teaching philosophy. How do I approach their learning? How do I sit in that space for them? And my philosophy of learning is that I am there, and I am with them on their learning journey to help them be as successful as they can be, and for the potential to help them as best I can to serve, to help them reach their potential in this course, and as it translates out into the other world. And I tell them, I would say, a number of times throughout the course, and particularly at the very end, I really love to uh, leave them with the message that they matter, that they're important, that they add value to their peers, to me, to their friends, their family, their community, um, that they're special, and that they have a lot to offer, and they're going to make change. And I think that's what lots of them really want to do. They want to make an impression, they want to make some change, they want to matter. And that's what I try and share with them. So two things I would say is number one, do you, be you, be the human that you are, that you've got your edginess, you make mistakes, you're kind, you're empathetic, you're compassionate, you likely really believe in the subject matter that you're teaching, and that you believe in them. So just do you. You can't be anyone else. So do you, and be out there for them. Just show them your face, show them who you are. I think it goes a long, long way. And lastly, I think the challenge for asynchronous online learning is really to make that, I'm going to say, is it, I don't know, is that a bad thing to say? Make that kind of inhuman screen that they're looking at as they're going through the modules, make it human, create more humanness about it, with all its, as I say, with all its edges and all its prickliness and all its wonderfulness as well. And I would say that would be my message. That would be my message.